Are you freaking kidding me? Yet another scam has been discovered at CGC, this time involving their own employees stealing comics from customers who had sent them in to get slabbed. And today, I've got 5 takeaways that I wanted to share from my own analysis of this latest scam. First of all, right now, CGC is a crap show. I mean, how in the world do you let an employee steal at least 23 comics? And the lawsuit says that CGC thinks there's actually more that were stolen. But how do you let them steal so many before you catch them? I mean, it's one thing if a $100 book went missing here or a $200 book went missing there. But when that 4.5 Hulk #1, which is worth tens of thousands of dollars, went missing, how do you not say, hey everybody, we gotta shut this down and figure out what happened to that Hulk? And in the meantime, we're gonna put extra protocols around to make sure this doesn't happen again. And I can only think of 3 explanations. First of all, CGC just loses so many books that losing these 23 or so were just a drop in the bucket. And so they just wrote it off as, oh yeah, we just lost a few other books. Secondly, maybe CGC doesn't care. We pay money to insure the books. And so maybe they're like, oh, well, we'll just let insurance take care of it. It's not worth the hassle. And number 3, which is what I think is the most likely scenario, is that CGC has terrible security and quality control right now and really needs to invest more into it. Now, of course, hindsight is 20/20, but surely they are realizing now that they need to just completely overhaul whatever protocols they have on their books. And I believe they just need to even hire more people whose job is just to inspect the books and make sure things like, oh, this is the book that came in. Yep, this is the book that came out. And just, along the way, different people, especially when you're talking about tens of thousands of dollars of books. Again, we're talking about some $100 book. That might not matter that much, but when you're sending books at unlimited value tier, man, you got to put more people in charge. And of course, also in terms, going back to the first scam, you need to invest in better cases. And personally, even though Matt Nelson, their CEO, has said there's no plans to do that, I think they have to be designing new cases now. I mean, trust has been broken, and the whole point of this company is that it establishes trust between buyer and seller, and so their whole shtick is compromised. And so I am, again, almost certain that they're working on these new cases, but they just can't announce it until they're ready to roll them out immediately. Because what happens if you say, oh yeah, we are working on this new case and 5 months from now it'll be ready? Well, all of a sudden you're gonna have all these collectors like me saying, well, I'm not submitting anything for another 5 months. And then you're going months with limited revenue, and I don't think CGC is going to do that. So until that new case that I think is coming is ready, I think they're going to remain silent on that. And in fact, even though I certainly am not overreacting to this in the way I think some people are and saying, well, I'll never get a slab again, I am on pause right now to give CGC some time to reveal a new case. And I don't know, 6 months, a year down the line, if they still haven't announced anything, then maybe I'll start resubmitting. It's obviously, I don't know what to do right now. And obviously, I'm sure a lot of us are in that same boat. Secondly, I believe CGC needs to start paying better wages to their workers so that they attract more trustworthy and higher quality employees. I remember back in the early days of COVID, when probably like a lot of you, my job was looking a little uncertain. I started looking at other things I could do if everything fell apart with my career. And so I actually looked into working at CGC because I thought obviously it would be a lot of fun and I thought I could do a good job at it. But pretty quickly I saw that they barely pay over minimum wage. And so right away, I just knew, well, there's no way me, who I think would be a trustworthy person, would move all the way to Florida for that. And there's a lot of people that I think would be certainly more trustworthy than this couple that stole all these books. And of course, obviously, I'm sure the vast majority of CGC employees are trustworthy. We want to be careful not to paint every employee as some scam artist or something like that. But I do think the wages limit the type of worker that you can get. Plus, when you're getting low wages and all of a sudden you're holding a Hulk one, you're holding, again, tens of thousands of dollars in your hand, then even a strong person is going to be tempted to steal that book. It just has the potential to be life-changing money for someone who might be struggling to pay some bills. And certainly if they increase their wages, then either immediately or eventually, I'm sure it will be accompanied by a price hike in their services. But I think most collectors would be willing to pay a little bit more to make sure their books are safe. I mean, I'm as frugal as they come, and I don't want to pay any more. But if it means that I know that I know that I know, especially again with these unlimited value books, that I am getting back what I sent in, then I'm going to be willing to invest in that. And I think CGC needs to recognize that. Now, before I get to my next takeaway, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, of course, I'd appreciate it if you consider doing so now. Number 3, I believe that COVID and the comic book boom had a much bigger impact on CGC than any of us realized. Of course, most of us probably know that the comic book boom led to tons of books being submitted to CGC and incredibly long turnaround times, but I believe it also led to decreased security because all of a sudden you had just books lying around forever, and you had books going all over the place through their warehouse or whatever, and just gave ample opportunity for books to be stolen or just to be lost as they're being stored, and maybe CGC misinterpreted some of the stolen books as lost books. You just had what was an overwhelming moment for CGC, I think, and they obviously became too big, too fast, and just weren't ready for it. And of course, how could they have been? I don't blame CGC for this, actually. I mean, of course, no one could have predicted the pandemic or the boom or any of that, but I think it really did have an impact. And then when they finally recognized, oh shoot, we've got to hire a lot more workers to deal with all these newly submitted books, then I think they probably didn't have enough time to properly vet everyone. And so I believe some of this is probably a fallout of the boom. Number 4, with 2 scams being revealed in just a matter of weeks, I'm even more convinced of something that I said a few weeks ago, and that I believe that there are going to be more scams that are discovered in the coming weeks and months. I mean, what are the odds that it was just these 2, and it was just these 2 found in these few weeks? Now, of course, the timing of these scam revelations being so close together could just be one huge coincidence, but I don't think so. Especially in light of what I said earlier about my belief that CGC just got overwhelmed during the comic boom, and there was just ample opportunities for people to run different scams. And number 5, I believe that CGC is going to bleed more and more customers until they really get things under control. I mean, their brand has really taken a hit. And I'm a CGC guy. I mean, I'm pulling for them, and I'm planning to certainly submit more books to them, again, eventually, even though I'm on pause now. And so hear me out. I am not anti-CGC. I want them to do better, and I want them to keep their customer base. But I think, at least in the short term, they're going to lose customers to CBCS and maybe to people who just give up slabbing in general. I know a lot of people at least say that they're going to do that now because they're feeling really burnt. And so I think CGC is going to take a hit. But like I said in a video a few weeks ago, I still do believe the majority of this hit is going to be in the short term. I do believe the CGC will recover. I don't know how long it's going to take. but I do believe that they are going to do things to earn trust back with the customer. Plus, they have enough money to weather the storm. Also, collectors and dealers have too much invested in them just to let them fall apart. I mean, speaking for myself, I have over 100 slabs, and if all of a sudden CGC didn't mean anything, then I'm out thousands of dollars of grading fees. At best, I could just crack them out and just have them as raw books. But that's still tons of grading fees that have just gone down the drain. I mean, I'm not planning to let that happen, and I don't think I should. I should fight for CGC. Obviously, I'm encouraging them to do better, but I have a lot invested in them, and what I have invested in them is nothing compared to many collectors and especially dealers. And so I think we're going to push through and make sure that these slabs at least hold most of their value in the long term. And again, I think they're going to take maybe a little bit of a hit in the short term, but I think the ship will eventually be righted. And maybe I'm just naive, and maybe I'm just hoping because I don't want to have just wasted all this money. And again, I don't think I have. And finally, just like everything, I do believe the rage will eventually die down unless more scams get uncovered. Then who knows? I mean, I don't know what I'll do if. I think it's going to happen, but if we're just getting a new scam every month, I don't know what's going to happen. But eventually, I think we're going to come to at least a slowing down of the scams, and the rage is going to die down, especially as we realize, really, in the big scheme of things. I mean, it's hard to know the exact number. We're still talking about a small percentage of books, and most books are still okay. I mean, certainly all of my slabs, people have talked about they felt like a book that came back wasn't the book that they sent off. I have certainly never had that problem. Every book that I sent off, I know that I've gotten the same book back. And that's going to be the reality of the majority of these cases. Now, it doesn't make it feel any better that some scams have happened. It doesn't make it any less tragic. But I believe over time, just like with other things that go wrong, we'll get more perspective on this, and it won't seem as bad as it does now when it is wrong. And I saw somebody make a suggestion that I think would be a fantastic one to regain people's trust, is that when, if I'm right, CGC does have a new case, that they offer reholdering services at a much discounted rate. I mean, I can understand them not just saying, okay, everybody can just send in their reholdering for free, but maybe charge, the suggestion I saw was $5. I think that would be fair enough. I mean, even though that would cost me hundreds of dollars, to get a new case, I would still feel good about that, and I think that's kind of a compromise. I mean, obviously, it still hurts some, right? But I think CGC could do that and make a lot of peace in the community. We all have our books in the new cases and know that they are the ones that we thought they were. Now tell me what you think of my takes. Am I right on the money, or am I dead wrong? Or let me know what takes you have from your analysis of this most recent scam. Or let me know anything else that you think about anything in regards to comics in the comments. Of course, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, once again, I'd appreciate it if you consider doing so. Like this video. Thanks for watching, and as always, I look forward to the next one.